liftoff here. I wish you a good evening. My name is Brad Probst, and I'm a member of the Corvallis Oddfellows, who are your hosts here this evening. So tonight, everybody is a winner because we all got a delicious dinner. Can I get a hand for the Valley Catering staff here? All right. Our compliments to the chef. All right. So welcome to our third annual Unsung Heroes Awards Banquet. The Oddfellows are very happy to have you all here this evening. I'd like to give you a little background of the Oddfellows. Basically, we could sum it all up with, we work with others to build a better world. There's a lot of things we do, but it all kinds of falls under that. While the celebration's not about us, it's beneficial to mention that we do know a thing or two about volunteering. So when we look at what you folks have done, we clearly recognize and appreciate that what you have done has been spectacular. With our organization's literally hundreds of years of experience, we've learned the ups and downs and the ins and the outs of volunteering. And frankly, we understand that having our essential nonprofits relying on volunteers can be, shall we say, precarious. In my day job, I responded to an emergency repair where the damage was inadvertently done by a well-meaning volunteer. Well, the staff person on duty at this particular faith group's establishment described the event as the helping hand strikes again. So we could laugh at ourselves, and sometimes with volunteers, you're lucky if you only get what you paid for and nothing more. But seriously, this is where you folks shine, the ones we're drawing this evening together for, as you fall on the total other end of this spectrum. You people are the volunteers that administrators usually only see in their dreams. The ones that with drive and tenacity, the ones that stick with it and provide these vital groups with institutional memory even, carrying on what is learned through experience and continue to improve, providing essential assistance to our community beyond what it can afford, right exactly where it needs it. We can wonder what Corvallis would look like if we had to wait for funding to accomplish all these volunteers do for us, but I wouldn't want to go there. You people are not just the mortar that fills the cracks in our system, but by your choices of service, you are the architects of our society, building a better world. This community is blessed with an ever-present aura of helpfulness aimed at universal well-being. And you are a substantial, concrete part of this hard-won reality. Lifting our society into a vision of our future, which is a gift for which we can't thank you enough. And that's why we say, you may not be Oddfellows, but as Oddfellows, we recognize your service and are thankful from the bottom of our hearts. Now, it's an honor to have you in our presence here tonight for us to recognize your contributions. And I'd like a big round of applause for our unsung heroes. So we're delighted again this year to have bestowing these awards the Honorable Mayor of Corvallis. A warm welcome, please, Mayor Biff Traber. Take it away, Biff.
All right, thank you, Brad. And I'm sitting here starting to look at my notes, and well, I'm going to have to say some more things, or things I perhaps didn't write down, because Brad hit a lot of points I wanted to hit, but no, I'm not going to change it. I'm going to put you all through it again. But first, I wanted to thank Oddfellows for letting me do this, for inviting me to give out these awards. When I first heard of these 3 years ago, or more than 3 years ago, it struck me as such an exciting thing to be able to be part of, is the Oddfellows recognizing individuals and the organizations they belong to who are providing this volunteer service, doing incredible things, and not being recognized as unsung heroes. So I get to offer my appreciation. I get to be part of this celebration, so I appreciate really the invitation. And part of where I support this so much, and my way of saying a little bit shorter than Brad did, was I think of Corvallis, sometimes I refer to it as a Corvallis way. We do so much of what we do in this town, depending on nonprofits who provide valuable, needed services. We couldn't get by without those organizations, and those organizations couldn't operate without those volunteers. So we're blessed to have so many of you willing volunteers, willing to do the work, willing to help out. It is incredible to see how this occurs in Corvallis. And we have events recognizing volunteers and others, but often those are the more visible folks. And what struck me as so important here was this sense of recognizing people who do it year after year, are the core of the organization. So we can celebrate perhaps those less well-known folks or those unsung folks. And I was going to quote, I'm not sure which year this is from, but the words in there is someone who flies under the radar in the description of the award, who has not been recognized or expected recognition, is a reliable and integral part of an organization, who is consistent, passionate, humble, and dedicated. I think those are all attributes we all ought to be aspiring to. And the fact that it's the organizations who nominated these individuals. So these are those organizations, Unsung Heroes also. So it all comes together, and then I get to have the fun, or what I enjoy doing, of being able to recognize those individuals. So let me go ahead and get started. And I'm told the only order here is actually alphabetical by last name, so it's not in any what's the priority. So the first up is Sarah Bronstein from the Corvallis Bicycle Collective. I think applause is important, and we'll have more of a chance too. There's some things I got to read to you. You all have to hear some more about these individuals and these organizations. So the mission of the Corvallis Bicycle Collective is to enhance health, safety, sustainability, and happiness through bicycling. Their hero, Sarah, embodies this mission by being the first one to raise her hand and the last one out the door. She shows up, whether it's board, event, or shop related, often with food and friendship. All right. Sarah, in her second year as board chair, has transformed board meetings to be efficient, meaningful, and productive. She is a visionary who enjoys showing the community innovative possibilities for active transportation. She tirelessly attended hearings about the transportation system plan, either giving testimony or supporting others as they spoke. She is instrumental in the design and implementation of neighborhood bikeway demonstrations at Open Streets Corvallis, which is a novel event that I guess we're in. We just had our third one this year, so the Bicycle Collective has been critical for that. A huge undertaking to get them started and then to have them become recurring. She serves on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board, supports the DIY bike shop, and works tirelessly to create conditions to get more people on bikes. She is articulate and inspiring whenever she speaks up for active transportation. Sarah doesn't ask for titles or recognition, but quietly speaks up for what she believes in. Recently, when she moved, she organized a Move by Bike effort with friends and strangers alike to help move their belongings across town by bicycle. Corvallis Bicycle Collective thinks Sarah is fantastic and proudly names her their unsung hero. So Sarah, if you can come on up. Congratulations. What's that? Other side. Oh. Stage direction we've got to take here. Shake your hand again. There we go. Let's get the picture. And there's a token from the Oddfellows there for you. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you want to have a few words?
I can.
Oh, if you'd like to say something, yes,
Yeah,
please do.
time for that?
Yeah, we always have time.
So here's the deal.
You will make time, yeah.
So, thank you. This is a pretty remarkable feeling. There are a lot of volunteers that help the collective do what we do, and I don't know that I deserve any more recognition than any of them, so I will accept this on behalf of the hundreds of volunteers that help to make the collective what it is. The word collective really is part of our name, and that's who we are, is the community that we serve, and that helps us. Since I have the mic, and my favorite thing is to talk about the collective, I'm just going to tell you a few things that you might not know about us. You probably all know that we run a DIY bike shop in Corvallis where you can have free access to tools and volunteers that will help you learn how to fix your bike, where we keep used bike parts and bicycles out of the landfill by selling them to people in need. You probably also know, as Biff mentioned, that we are instrumental in organizing the Open Streets Corvallis event annually in a partnership with the city of Corvallis. But maybe there's a few of these things that you haven't heard about us. You might not have heard that we run something called the Empowerment Bucks program, where we partner with social organizations in the community to provide vouchers that individuals can then bring into our shop to purchase used bicycles. And this year so far we have distributed $4,000 to the community. We also we conducted a pop-up bike shop this year at Lancaster Bridge Affordable Housing Complex, where we distributed 40 bikes to children in the housing center. We run a annual children's bike event called Spring Roll, and this year we had 300 children participate in Spring Roll, and over 1,000 participants that helped volunteer and make it happen. And we also host 5th grade Bike Ed. We've had 180 kids come through our shop as part of our 5th grade Bike Ed activities, and we provide access to tools again and help them to work on their bikes and get excited about bicycling. So, yeah, I hope to see you all at one of our events in the next year, either as a volunteer or as a participant. And thank you again so much for the recognition.
And thank you again, Sarah, and all the other things the collective did that I didn't get described in here. But as the mayor here, all of those are good, but I'm particularly excited about the open streets and the persistence you all had to get it started. There were some potential hiccups that got settled in the first year, and I think it's grown, continues to grow, and be incredible each time. I'm not sure where you all are thinking about next year, but we can get to that. Anyway, so then.
No more about that.
Next up, I have Ken Crouse, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, from Casa Latinos Unidos. Casa Latinos Unidos' mission is committed to working for the health and well-being, empowerment, and inclusiveness of the Latino community. Their hero, Ken Crouse, has been volunteering for over 2 years. He is very involved and interested in the area of immigration policy and how these policies affect the well-being and basic needs of families. He is always attending workshops and meetings in and out of town, sharing his notes and information with Casa Latinos. Recently, Ken took on the task to put together a faith-based volunteer group to help families who lack transportation and are in removal proceedings, to help them with transportation to and from their appointments. You can't settle that if you don't show up at your appointments, so this is so critical. He not only recruited and organized these volunteers, but is the key contact person between Casa and the group. Thanks to him, families in need will now have an option to attend their appointments along with a community ally. He still finds the time to help with everyday tasks such as tabling at events, prepping materials, setup and takedown, entering information to the database, and updating the resource guidebook. Ken is always kind, has a great attitude, and is ready to jump in and help with any task on hand. Casa Latinos Unidos is very grateful for Ken and considers him a wonderful asset to their organization. He is their unsung hero. Let's round of applause for Ken. So congratulations. Come on up here, and there we go. Picture time. And that's for you. Did you want to say anything? Or?
Well,
You're welcome to.
now that
You don't have to.
the
It's not a
precedent has been
requirement.
set, I guess. This was a total surprise. I wasn't even aware that this award was being offered, so this is really nice. The time I spend volunteering for Casa Latinos Unidos doesn't seem like any kind of sacrifice at all, because I'm doing what I really enjoy doing, working for an organization that I really believe in, under the direction of Claudia Torres, and with board members who do way more than just attend meetings, volunteers who bring new energy and enthusiasm and up-to-date skills, and even once in a while I get a chance to interact with the community members who probably understand more of my English than they do my attempts at Spanish. Right. One of the advantages of being part of a small organization is that you really get the feeling that you're part of a team. Your input is valued. You get to participate in all kinds of events, and sometimes you even get to be the face of the organization, such as tabling at events. And well, the one thing I bring is diversity. You've got to balance these young, good-looking Latina women with an older white guy. So that's where I fit in. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Thank you very much, Ken. And this particular project they highlight is so important as we're dealing with all these immigration issues, and we're supporting Corvallis as a whole with our charter clauses that talk about protection for all, no matter your citizenship status. So I find this very important, and I'm glad to be able to recognize this tonight. So the next one up is Fred Ramsey from the Audubon Society of Corvallis. The Audubon Society of Corvallis strives to educate the public about birds, other wildlife, and the importance of their habitats, advocating for responsible public policy and personal behavior that respects, conserves, and restores wildlife habitat and provides opportunities for people to enjoy nature. In many ways, their unsung hero, Fred Ramsey, is Corvallis Audubon. Conservation has been his life's work, from 1970, when he was a founding member, until today. Fred has spent decades on the board, as well as leading birding trips to Australia, serving as chief statistician for the Hawaii Forest Bird Survey, which resulted in the establishment of the Hakalau National Wildlife Refuge, leading trips throughout Oregon, writing his 1978 book, Birding in Oregon. This spring marked the 50th annual Malheur field trip. Conservatively, he has helped over 5,000 participants on at least 350 trips discover the wonders of Oregon. Fred probably has a hat or a shirt from conservation groups on every continent and belongs to most of these organizations. Fred has never charged a fee for his not inconsiderable guiding and organizational services, his enthusiasm for life in all its forms, is an inspiration for us all. He embodies the conservation ethic. Audubon Society of Corvallis is deeply grateful to Fred and hope to show their thanks by naming him their unsung hero. Fred, would you like to join us? Congratulations. What a hero. That's, talk about long years in doing this. So, whoops, there's two of those here. That's for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything? or-
Sure.
All right. I don't know if this is in the program, but I think we're starting something good here. So I'll wait till the boss comes and yanks me off. But go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. It's hard to be a hero without co-heroes. And there are many of them associated with the Audubon Society of Corvallis. You probably won't know these people, but I have to thank them. First on the list is Bill Elliott. Anybody know Bill Elliott? Remember him? John Butler? Anybody? No? No? How about Mike Scott? Anybody ever hear of Mike Scott? Yeah, a few people, right? Jerry Bertrand, 30-year president of Massachusetts Audubon.
Wow.
Yeah. How about Larry Small? Some of you probably know Larry Small. He was the dean of the oceanography department here at Oregon State for many years. Is now emeritus professor. I mention these people because it was 1970. We all got together and took a trip in Larry Small's wife Jan's new station wagon over to Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. And it was so much fun that when we got back, we all sat down and decided to form the Audubon Society of Corvallis. The society now does all sorts of things. It publishes a monthly newsletter. It has monthly field trips. It has a very valuable educational program. It has Elsie Eltsroth, who you may know, another hero, started a bluebird trail where she put bluebird boxes in public places and in private places so that the bluebirds which were in trouble would be recovering. And we even had help from a mayor or two.
We can help.
Yeah, right. Alan Berg was mayor. Helen Berg was mayor after Alan. And when they retired from their mayoralships, they donated about a 6.5 acre plot to the Audubon Society out on Oak Creek, which had a horse barn on it. And that has now, thanks to many volunteers that we have, turned into a very valuable resource center, a nature center, where we educate children, school children, and have all kinds of fun. Anyway, the Audubon Society that we founded back in the 70s has, I think, probably the same kind of motivation that Oddfellows has, and probably all the other organizations here too, which is that the things that are worth doing are the things that help other people.
Well, I think Fred didn't also mention some of the lobbying, even with the city, having to do with us doing things to protect birds. And I remember having some of that. What's that? And water, absolutely. So next we have Dr. Linda Marie Richards. from the Corvallis Veterans for Peace. Veterans for Peace works nationally and internationally to increase public awareness of the causes and costs of war, to restrain governments from intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs of other nations, to end the arms race and to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons, to seek justice for veterans and victims of war, and to abolish war as an instrument of national policy. Their local unsung hero is Dr. Richards, who has recently used her leadership skills and political savvy to lead the annual Peace Walk, facilitate a public forum on nuclear issues, and most significantly, spend many hours in Salem lobbying to make Oregon the second state in the country to urge the U.S. Congress to take steps to decrease the threat of nuclear war and join the Treaty on Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Yay. Veterans for Peace views her as a constant source of expertise. For 7 years, she has always been one of the first to volunteer and chooses to recognize others rather than accept attention. This I found interesting. Linda played women's professional tackle football for one season at the age of 44. Combine that image with the woman who is nearly obsessed with folding tiny origami paper peace cranes in memory of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuclear attacks. Linda has exhibited dauntless energy in pursuit of a more peaceful world centered on deep empathy for all victims of war. These traits, often obscured by her humility, are why she is the unsung hero of the Corvallis Veterans for Peace. Come on up, Linda. You do need to come up here.
I wouldn't come up here, but it's you.
Congratulations. Because I'm supposed to be standing here for the congratulations.
So the mayor here is one of the best mayors for peace I've ever met. And he takes his role seriously as a mayor for peace. And it's very special to be in Corvallis with a mayor for peace like Biff Traver. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the mayors for peace work around the world for a global nuclear weapons-free future.
I just really quickly want to thank Leah and Bart. That was actually such a beautiful piece. That was really sweet. I really appreciate being recognized, but there's so many people that are never recognized. It makes me feel funny. But Leah and Bart are amazing leaders in this community, and Leah's actually an international activist working on these things. I just make small little inroads here and there. But Bart has just been an incredible leader, and working with Veterans for Peace has been a joy for me. And makes me really joyful. Please come to our Hiroshima and Nagasaki vigils, our commemorations. This year will be the 75th year marking that occasion. And I just also wanted to thank my family, because they just hear me complain a lot. And so you heard I was a tackle football player. I was doing that while I was a nonviolence trainer, and I think there's something there. But anyway, I really appreciate this, and I think that's what's really beautiful about this event is we are creating the future. And thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Well, the comments Linda made about me at the start, I don't deserve. She has helped me understand and pulled me into more of this thinking about peace, and with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki remembrances brings forth the damage that what compared to now was a small nuclear weapon. And you look at the devastation and the lifetime of damage, we've got to have people understand that, so that as some of these things come forward, it isn't something where I'm bigger than you in some fashion. It's the we can go on into other threats to the world, but that's one that's faster than what's happening with climate change, but we won't go down that path either this evening. But excuse me, I got carried away. Next is Elizabeth Spatafora. Yeah, Spadafora, excuse me. I all of a sudden was reading something else, and I'm going, all right. Anyway, Elizabeth Spatafora from Meals on Wheels. The mission of Meals on Wheels is to provide fresh, nutritious meals, as well as a connection for local aging and disabled individuals. They envision a region where people live independently and remain in the home of their choosing for as long as possible. Their deserving unsung hero is Elizabeth Spatafora. Elizabeth has volunteered with Corvallis Meals on Wheels for 21 years with great passion and dedication. She has served in all aspects of the program, from doing dishes, delivering meals, and filling in as a relief manager at a moment's notice. Elizabeth has the extraordinary ability to make meaningful connections with the clients they serve, as well as the other volunteers. Her commitment stems from the program not only providing fresh, nutritious meals to a very vulnerable population, but also the daily well check and socialization of those that are homebound. She truly embraces their mission and is willing to serve wherever she is needed to bring these services to their clients. No task is too big or too small. Elizabeth's can-do attitude, as well as her strong commitment to the homebound clients and her humility, exemplifies why she is deserving of recognition as the unsung hero of Meals on Wheels. Let's recognize Elizabeth. Congratulations. Meals on Wheels is so amazing, and what you do for people who don't have
Good
social
stuff
opportunities, don't have beyond just the food. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's for you. And you want to say a few words?
Sure.
Absolutely. You have your notes.
We
Go right
were
ahead.
asked to speak, so I'm very nervous about this, mostly because, like other people have said, I feel like a bit of a fraud being called a hero, because that's not why we do these things. But I really do want to thank the Oddfellows for having this amazing event, and for all the other volunteers who make this city the great place that we feel that it is, and that we've lived here a long time, and this is why we're here, because of the people that are here. I want to thank my husband, Joey, who's here tonight, for working really hard at OSU for many years for money, so that I can volunteer in the ways that I want to in the community for free. And thank you. I want to thank my longtime supervisor, Cynthia Janes. Cynthia has given me so much over the years, so much encouragement and just friendship, but also she taught me how to be a volunteer. And that's something that I say a million times a day in the kitchen to people. You're only as good as your training. And she trained me really well. I want to thank her, along with my current manager, Julie Nist, who's here tonight too, for creating an environment that a volunteer such as myself would want to keep coming back to for 21 years. That's really valuable, and I thank you so much for that. And for all the other many volunteers that we've had at Meals on Wheels over the years, in the kitchen and driving, and it's all about the relationships. Everyone here knows that. But the person who really has made it possible for me to volunteer for this many years is my job share partner and dear friend, Karen Hilsendegger, who is here tonight. Before Karen came into my life, for about the first 10 years of my volunteering, it was me or nothing. The manager couldn't leave even if she was sick, if I wasn't available. And if I wanted to leave for, let's say, 6 to 8 months to go on sabbatical with my husband, it was nearly impossible for that to happen. And also that the job would be waiting for me when I got back. That's really special. And so Karen, I really value your friendship, and our collaboration really means a lot to me. And I don't have to tell anybody what Meals on Wheels is about. Everyone knows. It's the easiest sell there is. The basic, very basic need that we're filling. But I do want to share with you the two most important things I've learned over this 21 years. And first of all, it's that it's okay that we get something from our service as well. I joined Meals on Wheels. I inherited my driving route from one of the other moms in my oldest daughter's kindergarten class. And we lived far away from our family, and I wanted my kids to have a connection to elders, and especially people in our neighborhood. My son at the time was 9 months old, and he and all three of our kids have grown up in Meals on Wheels. They worked there on the summers. When they could drive, they drove their own routes. My son had a birthday buddy, a woman on our route for many years who they shared the same birthday. She was 82 years older than he is. And they, it was the pseudo grandparent situation that I was looking for. We also had a long-time guy who we went to his house for about 14 years every Wednesday, and he kept a box of Hershey bars in the fridge for my kids. And one time I said, I wish you wouldn't give it to them every time. They need to be coming because it's like the right thing to do, not because they think they're going to get something from it. And he said, well, I think you should mind your own damn business. This is between me and the kids. And I will say that he was right. All three of them to this day say they never have had a Hershey bar that tasted as good. And they think about him all the time. So we got everything we could have wanted out of it. He also had been married 5 times and was once married to a mycologist, which is what my husband does. And he would often give me marital advice. And he said, it's really important to know how not to, as well as how to. So I got free marital therapy. I mean, I've gotten everything I could possibly want out of this program. And in the end, like I said, it's about the relationships, and that is what has enriched my life tremendously. And that's okay that I get something out of it too. And then also the second thing is something I've really tried to teach my kids too, that service is empowering. When you get bogged down in your own life and your struggles and all these things, it's always easier to do something for someone else. And then you can go home and say, well, I fed 140 people today. So if I can do that, I can figure out what to do with the other things in my life. And so I think that's really great. And I just want to thank everybody here for everything you do to make my community so great. And thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. What we get out of what we do is very important as well. It's good to refer back to that, but I would point out, I think while Meals on Wheels name explains itself, it misses a key component of that, and I think a major part of the community doesn't even know the meals part of Meals on Wheels, let alone the socialization part that goes along with that. So I think we all need to think about being a little bit evangelists for those who need the services of Meals on Wheels. So next is Diana Thompson from Heartland Humane Society. I think we know where that table is now. Heartland's mission is to build a more compassionate community by teaching humane messages to our youth, caring for homeless animals, and strengthening the human-animal bond. Diana is a huge proponent of their work by being a donor, serving on the board as well as committees, working outreach and adoption events, driving the U-Haul trucks for the Wine and Whiskers fundraiser, as well as cleaning more litter boxes than they can count. Yeah. She volunteers every week even when her shifts fall on holidays, freeing up staff to assist with surgeries. When there is a call for help, Diana can be counted on to be there. When told she would be the nominee for the Unsung Hero Award, her response was to request that other volunteers to be included. She is truly someone who expects no recognition. She has been volunteering for 16 years. Wow. Diana had an injury last summer that required her to wear a helmet. She wanted a sticker to put on it, and the executive director sent her one with a drawing of a cat butt, which Diana appropriately put on the back of the helmet and wore for several months. All right. As soon as she was able, she was back at the shelter volunteering, helmet and all. After all she's done for Heartland Humane Society, they are so happy to nominate her as their unsung hero. Let's recognize Diana Thompson. I want you to come over here and say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Little job.
Cool.
All right. And you brought the helmet. I'm impressed. So let's show us this. Show us it.
First of all, hot diggity dog. Hot diggity dog. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Odd Fellows and to Heartland Humane Society, of course, to my comrades in litter, Kathy Fowler and Catherine Switzer, who are at the back table, my partner Sheila Smith, and to an absolutely extraordinary volunteer, coordinator, and outreach person, Hannah Agnew Swoboda. Say it 3 times and you got it right. Yes, I did bring you thought it was football season, didn't you? No. This is the thing. I don't know if you can see it from back there. But because of the head injury and whatever, I ended up at the Corvallis Manor for about 6 weeks and whatever. And I had to wear it all the time, literally, unless I was in bed. And I teased these nurses at the first, their station, and I said, you know, I could walk out here naked and you wouldn't say a thing, but the first thing you would say is, where's your helmet? I said, okay. So anyway, indeed I have been there for 16 years and it's been my joy to be there. We're talking about, all of us are talking about populations that are, whether they're verbal or nonverbal, but they need our help. And the animals are obviously nonverbal. Well, they kind of bark a lot. You haven't heard it till you see a cat scream. Maybe you do. Anyway, we have over 400 volunteers. We have about 3,000 or more animals that come through Heartland every year. We're an open shelter, which means any animal in Benton County can come to our shelter. We've had potbelly pigs, I've had ferrets, I've had birds, snakes, you name it. Matter of fact, my very first day at Heartland, I was put in charge of the small animals. Okay, small animals, you know, little bunnies or something. Nah, it was the rats. And I looked and I said, oh, okay. But you see, I'm from New York City and we kill these things. We don't make them better, we make them dead. So they said, just feed them and be nice. And I said, okay. The thing I just said before, though, not about the rats, but about being an open shelter. And this is something that's really, really important to us. We have a save rate of 95%, wow. Which is considered in the industry a no-kill shelter. which tells you that we keep the animal until they can be adopted. Whether it's the senior geriatric cat, and I work with them all the time, who are quite grumpy at times, to the little, we're in kitten season right now, so everybody wants a kitten. So they walk past the 6-year-old, furry guy, and it's too bad. But they'll be there, and they'll come in, and they'll find the right mom and dad. So we want to thank you for your support of us, and we'd love you to come visit us when you're in need of a new companion, because things happen. And we are in the middle of a capital campaign, so if anybody's interested in helping us out, that kibble costs a few bucks. So we thank you so much, and be well.
What a save rate, and for future companions for various people. That is wonderful. All right. So next I have Chuck Zaback from Dial-A-Bus of Benton County. The mission of Dial-A-Bus is to provide special transportation services to elderly and disabled adults, as well as disadvantaged children in Benton and adjoining counties. Their unsung hero, Chuck Zaback, has volunteered at least once a week for 11 years. He has driven 52,000 miles and served over 6,000 clients, donating 3,500 hours of his time. Chuck ensures that his clients get to their doctor's appointments, places of employment, volunteer activities, and all other destinations to help clients remain active participants in our community. For many of the clients, the ride they take with Chuck is the only meaningful interaction they will have that day, and Chuck makes sure that they get as much attention as they need or want. He is well known among the clients for his cheerful, engaging, and humble demeanor, and is known in the office for his willingness to stay late, fill in, and serve the most difficult clients. Chuck goes above and beyond. He carries groceries and other packages, walks clients into unfamiliar office buildings, stands in the rain to hold the door for slow-moving passengers. His many small acts of kindness have become part of the culture of Dial-A-Bus due to his efforts. They feel very lucky to have him among their volunteers. Dial-A-Bus believe his contribution to our community is an ongoing act of generosity that deserves this recognition. He is their unsung hero. Let's recognize Chuck Zaback. Come on over here. Congratulations. Thank you very much. There's a little recognition from the Oddfellows. Yeah, thank you. Looks like we have another spokesperson.
Steve Harder.
Great program. Come on up. Two of you can say something.
Thank you, Steve. You stay right here. Hi, my name's Steve Harder. I'm the executive director of Dial-A-Bus. I'm very proud and honored to be able to talk about Chuck real quickly. When I approached Chuck in the office to let him know that we wanted him to be the unsung hero, when I got to the word, "we would like to present you with," he was already doing this. And then I said, "an award at an event," and he was gone. But we chased him down. I got his family involved. We got a whole posse of people, and there was no getting out of it anymore. So we've been looking for an opportunity to recognize Chuck for a long time for all of the things that Mayor Traver delineated in the piece that I wrote. I actually shorted Chuck. It was a typo. He's been volunteering for 15 years, so a really long time. We can't say enough about his service. I'm going to make a point right now, and it'll be my last point, that I normally don't try to explain, but I think in this room it'll be something that you are able to understand on a level that most people don't. With the service that we provide is we drive people from wherever they are to wherever they want to go. It's not a complicated thing. However, as all of you in this room know, the reason why we're doing that is because those people are vulnerable in a way that the rest of us aren't. And that is very significant in someone's life. And the way that the driver comports themselves during that event, that simple event of driving a person from wherever they live to wherever they're going, the way that Chuck behaves in that time period determines whether or not that person maintains or forfeits their personal dignity. That's how significant that behavior is. And I see heads nodding because you all do the same thing. You know what I mean. There's a humility that is intrinsic to Chuck in just the way that he is in the world that not everybody has. And I don't think it's something that can be taught. It's something you either have or you don't. And when I say that Chuck has brought that to Dial Bus and it's become part of our culture, I mean that. That's his legacy. And if you're wondering if that legacy is going to be ongoing, his son is sitting right over there filming. And his son is the executive director of Home Life. And if you don't know what that does, they're an agency, heads nodding, that provides care for developmentally disabled adults throughout Benton County. And they're the best agency by several orders of magnitude. And that's because his son runs that agency. So what Chuck has created in this community goes far beyond driving people from point A to point B. I couldn't be more proud and humbled myself to be able to say these words about him. Thank you very much for everything you do, Chuck.
So let's see, one more page here. Yes, actually I want to pause for a moment and say, let's do one more round of applause for all 7 of tonight's Unsung Heroes. And every time I do this, I learn something more. I enjoy recognizing the individuals, getting the opportunity to do that, even though the last, I would call, unsung hero we need to recognize tonight is not a hero, it's a group of them. And that is the Corvallis Oddfellows. And I think we should thank them and acknowledge them, appreciate what they do have done by creating this award among all the other things they do. So thank you very much, Oddfellows. And the microphone is yours again.
All right. Well, great. Thank you. And one for Biff here, doing a great job. So I want to make sure not to forget to have all of our heroes gather together, not just right out the road. We need a group picture with you all, just to finish this off in good form. And speaking of finishing this off in good form, in closing, along with thanking you all for attending, I'd like to give recognition to our Oddfellow volunteers who brought together tonight's event. We have Elaine Kahn, the coordinator of this event over here. Bonnie Tomsky, she is the chair of our community service committee. She helped out. Kathy Lorenzen, our lodge secretary. Thank you, Kathy. And Bob Griffith right here. Thank you for your help in this too. As the Oddfellows perform what we see as our duty to work with others to build a better world, I'd like to extend to you our offer to work with your splendid organizations. And please let us know how we can work together. Some of you have told us already. And we look forward to working with you. And I just got to say, it is overwhelming, the wonderful work you guys are doing. This is so rewarding to us to have you come and bless us with your presence here. And like I was telling our table, said this is our 3rd annual. I can't wait until we've done it so many times we've lost count, because this is really a wonderful event. So I'd like to close this up with our chaplain, if you'd have a word.
As your closing words, please repeat after me. May I be well.
May I be well.
May you be well.
May you be well.
May all beings be well.
May all beings be well.
May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.
May I know love.
May I know love.
May you know love.
May you know love.
May all beings know love.
May all beings know love.
May I know peace.
May I know
May
peace.
you know peace.
May you know peace.
May all beings know love.
May all beings know peace.
Thank you very much. Remember the photo and these flowers? Please take them home.
You all keep up the good work. Good night and safe travels. Thank you all. You folks rock.